Experiment time. Today we're going to be looking at what uncovering the Dutch oven does for the crust of your bread. This is going to be a crispy one. Hi, I'm Sune and I'm a food geek. Today I'm going to make 3 different loaves made from the same dough but baked 3 different ways. The first one I will bake as I usually do, covered for 20 minutes at 260 degrees Celsius, 500 degrees Fahrenheit, then uncovered at 230 degrees Celsius, 450 degrees Fahrenheit for 25 minutes more. The second one I will bake at the same temperatures, but let it be covered for 35 minutes instead of 20, then uncovered for 10. The third one will be covered for the entire bake. If you're new to this channel, I bake a lot of sourdough bread and I make delicious food from all over the world. I'm on a quest to get the most out of every ingredient, and my goal is to teach you how to do that in simple and understandable steps. So join me by subscribing and ringing the bell so you won't miss any future videos. The recipe I'll be using is my sourdough bread for beginners, but with a 75% hydration. The flour is 80% bread flour and 20% freshly milled wheat. There's a link in the description for the formula of the entire dough for all 3 breads. Each loaf weighs about 800 grams, which is a maximum capacity of my bannetons. Also a great size loaf in my opinion. For the agitation, I'll be going for a one-handed stretch and fold. Unfortunately, my patent wasn't granted, so I guess you can't patent common movements of your hands. Who knew? These were the words. This is the experiment. This video is not so much about the process of making the dough as most of my other experiments, but I'm going to show you how I make it in case you want to recreate the bread. The formula for the entire dough for all 3 breads is linked in the description. In the morning I build the levain and wait until it's trickled. A couple of hours into the levain's fermentation, I mix the flour, the salt and the water for the autolyse, which runs until the levain is ready. Then I mix the levain into the autolysed flour. And then I let the dough rest for about 30 minutes to relax the gluten. And then it's time for bulk fermentation. I start with 3 sets of stretch and folds. The first set of stretch and folds. The second set of stretch and folds. and the third set of stretch and folds. Then the dough's ready for some quiet rising. After the dough has risen about 50%, it's time to divide and pre-shape. And then the final shape. Then I put the bannetons into the fridge for about 24 hours until I get home from work the next day. Then it's time to bake. After the oven has heated for 1 hour, I score the bread and I put it in. I bake it for 20 minutes covered and 25 uncovered. That's this one. Then I score the second bread and I bake it for 35 minutes covered, 10 uncovered. And that's how this looks when it comes out of the oven. Then the third one, I score it and then I bake it. It's baked for 45 minutes, completely covered. And this is how it looks after it comes out. The temperature control was the same in all three bakes, 260 degrees Celsius, about 500 degrees Fahrenheit for the first 20 minutes, and then 230 degrees, about 450 degrees Fahrenheit for 25 minutes. Let's compare the three. The first one has a super crispy crust. When pressed, the crust doesn't give at all. Looking at the crust in the cross section, it's a nice crust, not too thick and not too thin either. The second one is also crispy. Not any less than the previous one. In the cross section, the crust looks about the same thickness as the first one. The third one is also very crispy. It has more give, bordering on a little soft. This is honestly a bit surprising to me. Looking at the cross section, the crust is no thinner than the other two. So there is some difference in the give of the bread. The first one is very hard, the second one somewhat hard, and the one that was covered the whole time is a bit soft. The takeaway is that you can control the softness of the crust without compromising the crispness of sourdough bread by covering your bread longer. Wow, that was a complete surprise to me. It really doesn't matter whether you uncover or not. I hope you learned something today. I know I did. See you next time.